And welcome back to the OHIO podcast, everybody. I am Buckeye Boggs. That man over there is the wild man, Chris Wilds. And we are back with another, shall we say, Ohio State traditions reaction video, Chris, where this one's really interesting, though. Ryan
Yeah.
Day sat down with Archie Griffin and had a really good conversation. And we're going to show you a clip of a portion of that conversation that's going to spur on an interesting Mount Rushmore. I've never heard anybody do any Mount Rushmore like this before, and it should be very interesting. Chris and I have not talked about what our answers are, so this is going to be real-time reaction between the both of us on who our Mount Rushmore of Ohio State ambassadors is. Okay, so let's play this video for you. We'll be right back, and we're going to go ahead and talk about that Mount Rushmore.
I think about the opportunity here, like you said, what a great example you are growing up here in Columbus, and what Ohio State has done for you, what you did for Ohio State, the balance of that, and you're just one example of what Ohio State has done and that opportunity for the rest of your life. And that's what's here.
Yeah.
And I think Ohio State offers that more than any other school in the country, because of the combination of the city of Columbus, the fan base, the tradition, the power of the brand, all that comes with it.
Absolutely.
Okay, Chris. So there it was. Ryan Day kind of patting Archie on the back and telling him how much he means to the program. And obviously that goes without saying. Anybody who can pick up a book and read stats and read about the history of Ohio State and go back and watch highlight films knows exactly what that man means to this program, to the overall history of Ohio State, the only two-time Heisman Trophy winner. But that got us thinking about the former players who are ambassadors for the program, the top four, the Mount Rushmore of ambassadors. Obviously, Chris, that man is number one, Archie Griffin.
Yeah, I agree. And Eric is somebody, this is something I feel very passionate about, having had the opportunity on multiple occasions to meet Archie. He's just such a nice, just so approachable guy on campus. You could just be walking across campus and you will see this man out there. I mean, I don't know how much it is now, but when I was going to school back in 2014, 2015, at the time he was still in charge of the Alumni Association, and he was just always accessible to students, always had time to say hi to a student who was walking by. What he did for the university, I think, and Ryan Day said it best, it just really far exceeds what he did on the field. So yeah, obviously I'm with you. I think Archie Griffin is by far the greatest ambassador that we have as far as our former players go. So, but you're right. This was very interesting because, I mean, there are so many.
Yeah.
For me, I think my number two has to be Chris Spielman.
Yeah, mine as well.
What he has meant to the university, on the field is one thing, but you look at what he's done with the cancer research following the death of his wife, what he's done as far as in the NFL front office representing the Buckeyes. I think that he just truly is amazing. And honestly, another guy who's a great personality if you ever get the opportunity to be around him. He's just an interesting guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me personally, number two for me is back when he was on the radio when the 97.1 The Fan was just kind of getting off the ground, and when it was still 1460 AM.
Yes.
And he was the voice and face of that radio program and sports radio in Columbus, Ohio. He was such a huge ambassador for Ohio State. And the lawsuits kind of maybe tarnish that slightly a little bit, not so much for him as far as his love for Ohio State, but maybe Ohio State towards him a little bit, the university. You don't see or hear too much about him from them anymore. And he's kind of moved on, moved up to Detroit, working with the Lions, where he played professionally for a long time and kind of helping rebuild that um, entire business. And man, they're not your daddy's Detroit Lions
Well, they're,
anymore.
they're my picks to win the NFC North this year,
Ooh,
Eric.
oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I still feel that he's deserving to be on that Mount Rushmore. All right, number 3 for me. Here's where we might tail off a little bit. More current. Um, you know where I'm going with this, don't you?
Very possibly, because my next two are both fairly current.
Bobby Carpenter. Bobby Carpenter has
Sarah made you
become.
put him on the list, didn't
She did not.
he?
Bobby Carpenter has become very similar to what Chris Spielman was on the radio front, on the television. His face is out there everywhere. He does a lot of charitable work. He's running a business, multiple businesses,
Yes.
and he's just doing a lot for Ohio State as well. And so I feel that Bobby Carpenter has taken kind of a Chris Spielman type of look and role that Spielman had in the late 90s, early to mid 2000s. Bobby Carpenter's kind of become that. And I feel that he might, his legacy when it's all said and done, although he was a terrific player, his legacy might be more of what he's done for the university off the field than what he did when he was on it.
I actually had Bobby in there at number 4, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Okay.
You're right. He does a ton of charitable work. Of course, he's heavily involved with the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer. Um, and like you said, running multiple businesses in Ohio. He is, he is very much like you said, kind of picking up that Spielman role and running.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll tell you, my next one, um, I was torn between two guys for this other one. Both of them national champions, but at two different times. One of them was Cardell Jones, who does a lot of charity work.
Yeah.
He has his big softball game every year. Really has become quite the ambassador, I think, for Ohio State. But I'll tell you, I had to go with a guy who, after his time at Ohio State, went out. He and Antonio Smith started up the Driven Foundation. That was Roy Hall.
Mm.
Roy Hall, actually, if you look at him, he is always down there doing something with the Driven Foundation. He does so much charity work in Columbus itself. Roy, does, I've actually received things like autographed footballs from him that I've gotten from charity events where he just does this. But, he does so much for inner city kids down there in Columbus. And his foundation does so much good. We've had the benefit of, myself, I work in an elementary school here in Marion. We've had representatives from the foundation. In fact, last year we had Doug Worthington, who's another forum player, come down and speak with our kids down here. But Roy, just a super nice guy. I've had the opportunity to meet him. In fact, honestly, I met him and Maurice Claret at the same time back in 2014. And they had a little tent set up that they were kind of pushing what the Driven Foundation was doing. And they were set right up on Lane Avenue during the homecoming game. And they had time to talk to all the students walking by, all the fans walking by. But yeah, I think they are tremendous, or he's a tremendous ambassador, as are the people that work for him. Mm-hmm. And I would have thrown one up there, but we kind of decided we're going to stay with players here, Eric. But I got to throw this one out there too. What about Jack Nicklaus?
Oh,
Jack Nicklaus. He may not have played football. Right. He was an athlete at Ohio State, and he may have done as much as anybody as far as promoting the Ohio State brand and in the golf.
He's the only former athlete in Ohio State history who has his own museum on campus.
Yeah, so, and well deserving. I mean, he's the greatest golfer in history.
Yeah. some Tiger Woods fans might argue with you on that, but even Tiger says,
Even Tiger acknowledges,
yeah.
you know,
When he would
acknowledges
come to the
Jack right now.
Memorial, he would say it would come to the Jacks tournament. It's the
Yeah.
fourth major, or the fifth major, however he worded that. But number 4 for me is my cousin Ryan Miller.
Yeah, he
Um,
does is it the
Second and
second and
seven,
seven?
yeah. He worked for Channel 10 in the sports department when he graduated, and his playing career was over for a little while. And then, of course, Luke Fickle and Mike Vrabel, and he
Hmm.
started the Second Seven organization. Of course, both Fickle and Vrabel went on to have coaching careers, and Ryan's gone on to run the Second and Seven organization and be the kind of the spokesman and the mouthpiece, the face of that organization, doing so much for literacy
Yes.
in not only Central Ohio, not only the state of Ohio, not only the Midwest, but across the United States now. It's one of the largest literacy programs in the country. And it's right here in Ohio and born out of the scarlet and gray blood of Ryan Miller, Luke Fickle, and Mike Vrabel. He's always doing something to where he's in the like associated with Ohio State. Second and seven is associated with the breast cancer awareness cruise for
Yep.
cancer. He'll go. He's usually down at the stadium once a year signing autographs with like Buyers Auto or somebody like that. He just got done with their football camp for children. My stepson went again for a second season. And Hero Canoe was one of the current players there to help, as well as on the last day, both quarterbacks, Kyle McCord and
Devin Brown.
Devin Brown, were both there. Thank you. And interestingly enough, Xander, my
Yeah,
stepson, said Kyle McCord is definitely the alpha male,
okay.
and
We've
my
we've got a
stepson's
first-hand account, huh?
yeah, he's a baller. He would know. He's a center. He's an offensive lineman and a center, and a linebacker, defensive end. And he said, "Yeah, Kyle McCord's the alpha male there." And I was like, "Whoa,
But I'll tell
okay,
you, we could have taken this list in so many different directions,
right."
Eric. I mean,
I really like the Cardale Jones one you gave. I
yeah,
didn't think about that, but he's
yeah,
becoming that, isn't he?
he really is. And I think it's what next month he's got a softball game
Mm-hmm.
down at.
And he's got a big part with the foundation
Yes, he
for
does the NIL stuff.
NIL, yeah, a collective. So, hey, this was a lot of fun,
But
Chris.
you
This
know
is a
what?
good list.
Another one. I mean, we didn't talk about. Think about the redemption story that is Maurice Claret and all that he's done. Since then as well. Another
Mm-hmm.
just great guy, and we didn't even talk about coaches or look at some of the former prep. Let's talk about Gordon Gee. I mean, he's got a Spirit Award named after him for the guy who most or the person who most exemplifies the university's
Yeah.
spirit, and he wasn't even a Buckeye.
John Cooper gets a really bad rap for losing
Oh,
to
he's
Michigan like he did.
yeah,
But the dude, he's lived and lived in Columbus, still part
yes.
of the university, still promotes Ohio State all he can. So John Cooper's another one. Yeah, he gets a lot of slack from us fan bases on his record against that team up north, but the dude kind of brushes that off and marches on and
And,
for the fight of the Buckeyes.
and outside of Archie, is there a nicer person in the world? I mean,
Cooper's a
John
great
Cooper.
he's
He
a
is
great
just so
guy.
genuinely nice. Yeah.
He really is. He really is. That's really good. All right, please like, share, subscribe. We really do appreciate it. It does help the channel. Make sure that you are tuning in on Sunday nights at 8 o'clock for our live events or for our live shows. They're a lot of fun. Get interaction, and as we did this past week, you can even call in and possibly when we have call-in shows. So just like Lenny Zabo did. So you're
And
gonna want
that's
to
going to be
make
a
sure you
regular
check that
thing
out.
through the season, right?
Yep. Sunday
So,
nights during the season, we will do our first half will be our regular handing out Buckeye leaves. Second half will be you guys calling in and venting or letting us know or celebrating letting us know what you think, how you feel after the game. All right, guys. Until next time, be kind to one another. I owe someone's OH and sing Carmen High with all your heart. OH.
I
Go Bucks.